My name is Margaret Hayes, and I'm 72 years old now. This story begins 13 years ago, on a Tuesday afternoon that seemed ordinary enough at the time. I was in my garden, tending to my roses, when my daughter Victoria pulled into the driveway. She was 31 then, with 3 beautiful children, Ma, who was 8, little Jacob, who was 5, and baby Sophia, barely 2 years old. Victoria stepped out of her car looking exhausted, her eyes red and swollen. "Mom," she said, her voice breaking, "I need you to watch the kids, just for an hour. I have something important to take care of." I wiped the soil from my hands and looked at her carefully. Victoria had always been headstrong, independent to a fault, but that day, something in her expression worried me deeply. "Of course, sweetheart," I told her. "Take all the time you need." She helped me get the children inside. Emma carried her backpack. Jacob clutched his stuffed dinosaur. Sophia was already falling asleep in her car seat. Victoria kissed each of them quickly, almost frantically, and then she was gone. That hour turned into a day, then a week, then a month. I called her cell phone dozens of times. It went straight to voicemail. I contacted her friends, her workplace, even her ex-husband Marcus. Nobody knew where she was. Marcus seemed as confused as I was, though there was something guarded in his expression when we spoke. The children kept asking for their mother. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that you don't know where her mommy went? How do you comfort a 5-year-old boy who cries for his mama every night? How do you soothe a toddler who doesn't understand why everything has changed? I did what any grandmother would do. I became their mother. Those first months were the hardest of my life. I was 60 years old, retired, and suddenly responsible for 3 young children. My back ached. My energy wasn't what it used to be. But I loved those children with everything I had. They needed stability, routine, love. I gave them all 3. I enrolled Emma in the local elementary school. I found a wonderful preschool for Jacob. I spent my days singing to Sophia, teaching her to walk, then to run, then to talk. I packed lunches. I attended parent-teacher conferences. I helped with homework. I kissed scrapped knees and dried tears and celebrated every small victory. Years passed. The children grew. Emma became a teenager, thoughtful and kind. Jacob discovered a love for science. Sophia grew into a bright, curious girl who asked a million questions about everything. They asked about their mother less and less as time went on. I kept her photograph on the mantle. I told them stories about her childhood, about the good times. I never spoke badly about Victoria, even though my heart ached with questions I couldn't answer. Where had she gone? Why had she left? Did she think about her children? I built a life for us, a good life. We had Sunday pancake breakfasts and movie nights. We took camping trips in the summer. We celebrated every holiday with love and laughter. My home, which had been quiet for so many years after my husband passed, was filled with noise and joy and chaos again. I won't lie and say it was easy. There were nights I cried from exhaustion. There were moments I felt ancient, trying to keep up with 3 growing children. There were times I felt angry at Victoria for disappearing, for leaving me to pick up the pieces. But mostly, I felt grateful. Grateful for the chance to watch my grandchildren grow. Grateful for their laughter, their hugs, their unconditional love. Then, 13 years after that Tuesday afternoon, everything changed again. It was a Wednesday morning. Emma was 21 now, in her 3rd year of college. Jacob was 18, about to graduate high school. Sophia was 15, full of teenage attitude and dreams of becoming a veterinarian. Someone knocked on my door. I opened it to find Victoria standing there. She looked older, harder somehow. Her hair was styled differently. She wore expensive clothes and carried a designer purse. Next to her stood a man in a dark suit, carrying a briefcase. "Mom," Victoria said. Her voice was cold, formal. "Victoria." My heart was pounding. "Where have you been?" "Do you have any idea what this is?" "My attorney, Mr. Richardson," she interrupted. "I'm here to collect my children." I felt the world tilt beneath me. "Collect?" "Victoria, you've been gone for 13 years and during that time," Mr. Richardson said smoothly, "you've been keeping her children from her. We're prepared to take legal action for parental kidnapping." The word hit me like a physical blow. "Kidnapping? That's insane," I whispered. "You left them here. You abandoned them." "I left them for an hour," Victoria said, and there was something rehearsed about her tone. You refused to give them back. You disappeared. My voice rose. You were gone for 13 years. Victoria. 13 years. I couldn't find you. Nobody could. We're not here to argue, Mr. Richardson said. We're here to inform you that Miss Hayes will be seeking full custody of her children and pressing charges for wait, I said. My mind was racing. Just wait. Come inside, please. They followed me into the living room. The walls were covered with photographs. Emma's high school graduation, Jacob's science fair awards, Sophia's dance recitals, 13 years of life, documented in frames. Victoria's eyes swept over them, and for just a moment, I saw something flicker in her expression. Regret? Sadness? It was gone before I could be sure. Why? I asked her quietly. Why did you really leave? That's none of your concern, she said. They're my grandchildren. It's absolutely my concern. Mr. Richardson cleared his throat. Mrs. Hayes, unless you can provide documentation that your daughter willingly relinquished custody, I can, I said. They both stared at me. With trembling hands, I walked to my bedroom. From the bottom drawer of my dresser, beneath old sweaters and photo albums, I pulled out an envelope. It was wrinkled now, yellowed slightly with age, but the handwriting on the front was still clear, to be opened if necessary. I had found it 3 days after Victoria left, tucked under the driver's seat of my car. At the time, I'd thought it was a suicide note. I'd been terrified to open it. When I finally did, I'd sobbed for hours. I carried it back to the living room and handed it to Mr. Richardson. He opened it carefully and began to read. His expression changed. He looked at Victoria, then back at the letter, then at me. What does it say? Victoria asked, her voice suddenly uncertain. Mr. Richardson read aloud. Mom, I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. Marcus has been having an affair with my best friend Jennifer for over a year. Everyone knew except me. I feel like such a fool. I feel like I'm drowning. I need to get away, to figure out who I am without being someone's wife or someone's mother. Please take care of my babies. They deserve better than what I can give them right now. Tell them I love them. Tell them I'm sorry. I'll come back when I'm stronger. I promise. I love you, Victoria. The silence that followed was deafening. You promised to come back when you were stronger, I said softly. It took you 13 years. Victoria's face had gone pale. Yeah, broken bar. I did come back. I just needed time to rebuild your life, I asked. I understand that, Victoria. I do. Betrayal breaks something in us. But you had 3 children who needed you. 3 children who cried for you. And I was here, raising them, loving them, sacrificing everything. I'm their mother, Victoria said, but her voice lacked conviction now. Yes, I agreed. You are. And I never tried to replace you. But you can't walk back into their lives after 13 years and pretend you're entitled to anything. You have to earn it. The letter proves she intended to return, Mr. Richardson said, though he sounded less certain now. It also proves Mrs. Hayes was aware of the situation and agreed to temporary guardianship. Temporary, I repeated. That was 13 years ago. In that time, I became their legal guardian. I have court documents. I have records showing Victoria never contacted us, never sent money, never tried to be part of their lives. Victoria sank onto my couch, and suddenly she looked less like the confident woman who'd arrived at my door and more like the broken girl who'd left all those years ago. Where did you go? I asked gently. Everywhere, she whispered. Nowhere. I was so angry, Mom, so hurt. I drove to California and lived there for a while. Then Oregon, then Montana. I worked odd jobs. I found a therapist. I tried to figure out how to be okay again. And are you? I asked. Are you okay now? She looked up at me, and her eyes were filled with tears. I met someone. His name is David. He's kind and patient and he loves me. We got married 2 years ago. We have a house in Seattle. He encouraged me to reconnect with my children, to face what I'd run away from. That's good, I said. I'm glad you found happiness, Victoria. I truly am. But your children have also found happiness here. They've built lives. Emma is studying to be a teacher. Jacob wants to be an engineer. Sophia is thriving in her school. They have friends, routines, a home. I want to be part of that, Victoria said. Then be part of it, I told her, but not like this, not with lawyers and accusations, not by trying to rip them away from the only stable home they've known. Victoria looked at Mr. Richardson. Give us a moment, please. He hesitated, then nodded and stepped outside. Mother and daughter sat in silence for a long moment. I was so ashamed, Victoria finally said. Every day I was gone, the shame grew heavier. How could I come back after a month, after a year, after 5 years? The longer I stayed away, the harder it became to imagine facing you, facing them. So why did you really come back with the lawyer? I asked. She laughed bitterly. David's idea, actually, not the lawyer. That was me. He suggested I reconnect. I was terrified you'd turn the kids against me, that they'd hate me. I thought if I came in with legal power, I could force the situation, protect myself from rejection. That's not how love works, sweetheart. I know that now, she whispered. When I saw those photographs on your wall, when I saw how you've loved them, how you've been there for them in every way, I wasn't a broken bar god. Mom, I don't deserve forgiveness. I moved to sit beside her and took her hand. Maybe not, but you're going to get it anyway. Because that's what family does. We mess up, we hurt each other, and then we find our way back. What do I do? She asked. You start small, I said. You call them, you visit, you show up for birthdays and holidays, you prove that you're here to stay this time, and you let them decide how much of a relationship they want with you. Some of that might hurt, but that's the price of the choices you made. Victoria nodded slowly. And the kidnapping threat, are you really going to pursue that? No, she said immediately. God, number. I was scared and stupid and I just wanted a broken bar. I don't know what I wanted. You wanted to feel in control, I said. I understand, but the way forward isn't through courts and accusations. It's through honesty and patience and love. We sat there together, holding hands the way we had when she was young and scared of thunderstorms. Eventually, Victoria asked, are they home? Can I see them? Emma is at college. Jacob is at soccer practice. Sophia is at a friend's house. But they'll all be home for dinner tomorrow night. Why don't you come? We'll tell them together. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, Mom, for everything, for raising them when I couldn't, for not giving up on them, for not giving up on me. I hugged her tight. That's what mothers do, sweetheart. We hold on, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. The next evening, Victoria came back without the lawyer. She brought flowers and a photo album full of pictures from the 13 years she'd been gone, a proof of a life lived, of healing that had happened, of a journey that had been necessary even if it was painful. When the children arrived home, I gathered them in the living room. There's someone here who loves you very much, I said. Someone who made mistakes but who wants to make things right. Victoria stepped into the room, trembling. The reactions were different for each child. Ma, the oldest, remembered the most. She stood frozen, her face unreadable. Jacob looked confused. Sophia, who barely remembered her mother, looked to me for guidance. Mom, Emma whispered. Hi, baby, Victoria said, and her voice broke. What followed wasn't a neat, Hollywood-style reunion. There were tears and questions and anger and confusion. There was so much to work through, so many years to account for. But there was also love. Buried under the hurt and the abandonment and the lost time, there was still love. It's been 6 months since that day. Victoria visits every other weekend. She calls on Wednesdays and Sundays. She came to Sophia's dance recital last month and cried through the entire performance. She and Emma are in therapy together, working through their complicated feelings. It's messy and imperfect, and some days are harder than others. Jacob is the most forgiving. Emma is the most guarded. Sophia is curious but cautious. And me, I'm still here. Still holding everyone together, still loving these children who are the center of my world. Victoria and I are rebuilding our relationship too, slowly, carefully. The envelope sits in my dresser drawer still, a reminder that people are complicated, that hurt can make us do irrational things, that sometimes we run away from the very things we need most. But it's also a reminder that love persists, that families can heal, that even after 13 years, even after accusations and anger and pain, there's still a path forward. It just takes courage to walk it, and forgiveness, always forgiveness, because in the end, that's what binds us together, not perfection, but the willingness to keep loving each other despite our flaws, our mistakes, our broken pieces. That's the wisdom I've learned in my 72 years. Love isn't about never falling apart. It's about having the courage to put the pieces back together, again and again, for as long as it takes. A